Over the years, Chrysler's had its back up against the wall so many times that its accountants have calluses on their shoulder blades. They just don't seem to be happy operating in a normal financial condition. And yet, against that backdrop, I'm here in this car, the 2017 Chrysler Pacifica. And it's not just a great Chrysler, it's a great minivan. It's pretty, and that's in a segment not known for its beauty. It's techy, it's efficient, it's quiet, and it's even priced right. It's the type of tool that makes you feel like a better parent. As it turns out, the Pacifica is pretty much good at everything. The 3.6-liter powertrain is front-wheel drive only, which is kind of a bummer. You're not going to take too many crossover buyers that way. However, it's got 287 horsepower and 262 foot-pounds of torque. It's yoked to a 9-speed transmission, and I gotta be honest with you, that same gearbox in every other vehicle I've driven it, I've kind of hated it. But here, it's not so bad. It's got a minimum of hunting around, it always seems to find the right gear, and there's enough power that this feels like one of the quicker minivans out there. So despite being safer, stiffer, and having way more equipment inside, this Pacifica, it's actually about 250 pounds lighter than its predecessor, the Old Town & Country. That means it's more efficient. According to the EPA, it gets 18 miles per gallon in the city and 28 miles on the highway. In my travels, that worked out to about 23 miles per gallon. That may not sound so impressive, but consider that my vehicle was full of stuff, I traveled over the mountains, and I even had an orange Mohawk strapped to the roof, a kayak that absolutely murders aero efficiency. So one thing I don't like about this vehicle, it's the rotary Gearshift Selector, but not for the reason you think. I'm perfectly comfortable with the way it operates, except for the fact that I have very little manual control when it comes to dropping down a gear or two for hills. The computer decides how much engine braking it's going to give you. You can't choose for yourself through paddles or rocker switch or anything, and that's really annoying. There's a ton of available advanced safety features. My Touring L Plus model arrived optioned with adaptive cruise control with stop and go, forward collision with auto brake, and a nicely judged lane keep assist feature that's one of the few such systems that I didn't immediately want to turn off. And our trip was made easier for everyone by the inclusion of a Wi-Fi hotspot, though oddly, it's only 3G. My son appreciated the 10.2-inch rear seat entertainment screens and their inclusion of HDMI inputs. And while my boy is a little bit old for things like the built-in games and the Jetliner Are We There Yet app, these features are likely to be sanity savers for those needing to pacify small children. Chrysler's Uconnect infotainment system returns, this time in a sleek, bezel-less mount, and the 8.4-inch touchscreen is nicely responsive, with a good selection of apps including things like Yelp and iHeartRadio. Unfortunately, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are not part of the program at this time. Despite having the longest wheelbase in its class, the Pacifica does give up some space to key rivals from Honda and Toyota in certain metrics, namely cargo space, where its behind the third row storage space of 32.3 cubic feet is slightly less than rivals, and its all-seat stowed rating of 140.5 cubic feet is well down on rivals by 8 to 10 cubes. As tested price, $43,765 delivered. That sounds expensive, but it's actually a bit less than most competitors. These days, minivans play second fiddle to the edgier, sexier world of SUVs, and all the sleek sheet metal and the best new name in the world, well, they're not suddenly going to light the Pacifica's market on fire. And that's a shame, because this isn't just one of the best family trucksters on the market, it's one of the most creative and versatile new vehicles you can buy. And I say all that before the plug-in hybrid model hits showrooms. If this rope-a-dope automaker can string together a few more vehicles like this, maybe Chrysler's future, well, maybe it's brighter than we think.